west of England there. I can't go back there where the non-therapeutic use of opioid drugs is virtually compulsory. I can't, if I go anywhere near the place, it's the same old cry. Hey, Clarke, get back on drugs, you fat fuck. They're not being helpful, frankly. To the extent that I wrote a poem about it. This one's called, spookily enough, Get Back on Drugs, You Fat Fuck. When I go back to Longridge Park, does anybody wish me good luck? All they say is, hey, Clarke, get back on drugs, you fat fuck. Get back on drugs, you fat bastard. Get back on drugs, you fat fuck. We only like you when you're plastered. Get back on drugs, you fat fuck. They say I'm piling on the pounds, but I don't the reason I suck. Put the donut down and get back on drugs, you fat fuck. Get back on drugs, you fat degenerate. Get back on them, you schmuck. You're the size of a minor emirate. You were good once, but I don't remember it. Get back on drugs, you fat jumping Jehoshaphat. Get back on drugs, you fat prick. Yeah, don't bother. I know you're illiterate people here in New York City, and so don't bother pointing out that schmuck don't rhyme with prick. But I didn't get where I am today not noting the phonetic dissimilarity between the word schmuck and prick. But you see what I did there? I subverted the form in order to point up a higher truth. But sometimes, you know, these long rambling poetical sagas are all very well, aren't they, ladies and gentlemen? But sometimes in the world of poetry, as in any other artistic endeavour, sometimes less is more. Minimalism, that's Wonder Day. There's only one exception I can think of to this rule, less is more, and that's Phil Spector, for whom more was always more. But he's out of action right now, so it looks like the minimalists of Wonder Day. I'm not entirely pissed off about this. I embraced minimalism in 1958 after reading a volume of poetry by Mr. Gary Snyder, the head of Haiku Society and International, back then the king of the beatniks. I was a very impressionable child. I read a volume of his poetry, and I ascertained then that he was walking in the footsteps of the Buddha, and that the message I got was that material possessions merely provide a roadblock on the highway of enlightenment, and with that in mind, I determined to rid myself of any extraneous earthly possessions. As a 9-year-old, it wasn't difficult. But I'm trying to carry these values into late adulthood with some degree of success. I was recently in a position to ratify my lifestyle choices in this regard, for you see, I was appearing at the Glastonbury Festival at the same time as the Dalai Lama, the king of minimalism himself. So, unique opportunity that somebody could live a lifetime without calling out. So we got there, I said to my man Johnny Green, I said, listen, we got to the Glastonbury Festival, I said, listen, before we sign in at the production office or any of that, we want to track down the ramrod of this outfit, the foreman, the head honcho, the big cheese, the big kahuna. I guess what I'm trying to say is, we got to find the man who owns this place. And we did that with quite quickly, and you know the guy that runs the Glastonbury Festival, never forget it's a farm. You remember that? You know that guy, you've seen him on the television over here? The guy with the non-threatening Islamist beard. I can't remember the guy's name, but you know what I'm talking about. So we're gonna for convenience, let's call him Farmer Giles. For convenience. I said to my driver, my man, Mr. Johnny Green, I said, Johnny, we got to track this guy down, Farmer Giles. He said, I know who you're talking about. So we tracked him down, he was there just like a bird. Never forget, you know, the Glastonbury, you know, it's the centre of rock and roll universe for that 2-3 days there. But it's still a farm, so I figured we're going to track him down there in some farmyard situation. So we went round the perimeter and there he was, up to it, just like I thought he'd be, up to his armpits in animal ordure, brandishing some exotic rural implement that I have got no business knowing about. So we drove up there anyway to the farm gates. I didn't get out of the car, I was wearing suede shoes. I stuck my head out the window and I introduced myself. I said, "My good man, far be it from me to drag you away from your onerous bucolic activities. But allow me to introduce myself. My name's Dr. John Cooper Clarke. I grew up as the most elegant poet in the English language alive today, but that's not important right now. The point is that you're in a position to introduce me to the Dalai Lama, and I'd like you to do this for personal reasons of a spiritual nature." And he said, "How wrong you are, sir. Your reputation precedes you, sir. Please do not be misled by my beshitten raiments. For I am the proud owner of a library card, and I'm well aware of your prodigious poetical gifts, and would deem it an honour to introduce you to His Excellency the Dalai Lama. And do you know what? That horny-handed son of the soil was as good as his word." 40 minutes later, there I was being introduced to the Dalai Lama. We shook hands, the whole of my right-hand side sobered up. Special guy. And that's when I told him what I just told you now, all that about Gary Snyder, earthly possessions, highway of enlightenment, all that noise, getting rid of material, all that what I just told you. Anyway, I said, long story short, you're a busy guy. You're a busy man, Your Excellency. Long story short, I've got it down to a George Foreman grill and a bottle of disinfectant. What do you think? What do you think? Well, his reply, I've only ever forgotten it once. He said, "Jesus, Clarke, you want to get some shit." True story. You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it. So what I'm dealing with here is minimalism, actually. Let's cut to the chase. Bit of a digression there. Minimalism has won the day. Take the limerick. I've circumnavigated the globe 9 times, reciting poetry all the way, and everybody's favourite kind of poetry, the limerick. All over the world. Why not? Why not? 5 lines with a filthy payoff or a complete refund. Checks may not be honoured. What's not to like? Take this one, the oldest poem in the English language, still as relevant today as it was the day it was written, 3 million years ago. The first poem in the English language, and it happens to be a limerick. Right, so I can't take the credit nor the blame. 3 million years ago. There was a man in Belgrave, found a dead hooker in a cave, said it's disgusting, she only needs dusting, and look at the money I'll see. True story, obviously. Look at the ingredients. Prostitution, the oldest profession. Caves, the oldest architecture. They've been trying to stamp out architecture and prostitution ever since. 3 million years without any success, obviously. As long as unattractive men with a large tranche of disposable income require sexual release, there will always be prostitutes. And have you ever tried to demolish a cave? Well, have you? You could get 1 million megatons of industrial strength Russian dynamite. Push the button, you'll create a large explosion, but you'll only make another 93 caves somewhere else. The he does. That's a true story. It's still going on today. Wherever you've got that prostitution cave interface, I'm afraid that's always going to happen. Still as relevant today. But this is a limerick. Here's a limerick. Very important poem to me, this, and it happens to be a limerick. Very important to me because this is the poem that proved to me that just because something rhymes, that don't make it true. Who could be more upset about that than I? But I've had to come to terms with it, and now it's your turn. Now, I'm no detective. Not unless you count that 35 years I spent working for Scotland Yard Forensic. But I know when a story's full of holes. And this is just such a story. See what you think. And for the purposes of jurisprudential accuracy, I'm going to abandon my trademark machine gun high velocity delivery on this one. I'm going to give it you fact by fact, line by line, in the interest of jurisprudential accuracy. A woman in Amsterdam went for a ride on a tram. She cheated the conductor, who turned around and fucked her, and now she's pushing a prank. Now listen, I know you're being polite. I'm no stranger to hilarity. But I recognise that as a polite ripple of nervous laughter. At best. And I understand your reticence on this. After all, that's a pretty miserable train of events I've just given you. I understand your reticence. In fact, the ones that did laugh was out of nerves, or what the squarehead fraternity call Schadenfreude. You know, thank God it wasn't my sister on that train. Understandable, but a nervous ripple. But what I'm saying is, laugh it up, you punks. On account of it never happened. For those reasons. I'll tell you why it never happened. I've circumnavigated the globe 9 times. Why would I miss out Amsterdam? It's a 24-hour city. They've got a lot of disposable income. I sell records there. Why would I miss it out? So naturally, I've been to Amsterdam many times, more than 9 times, in fact. I've been there when I wasn't even traversing the globe. I live in Essex, which is very close to Amsterdam. So I've been there many times, is what I'm saying. I have availed myself of the public transport on offer in that town, 80% of which is provided by trams. They're running 365 days per year, 24/7, and they're very rarely empty. Now I know, that's my point, now I know that they're pretty kind of free and easy about public sex in Europe, and perhaps Amsterdam in particular. But that's ridiculous. Surely somebody would have commented upon this. Specimen conversation. I check this route regularly, and yet this does not usually happen. To which his fellow traveller might reply, I think she cheated him. But that brings up the moral question. Was that an appropriate punishment? And as we've seen, it's had social consequences. What with the pram. But don't worry. Laugh it up, you punks, because it never happened. This next one, last word on the limericks. This one I guarantee, this is my first solid gold cast iron platinum 1,000-carat diamond guarantee to you this evening that this never happened. What makes me so sure? I made it up. Two ugly sisters from Fordham took a walk one day out of boredom. On the way back, a sex maniac jumped out of the bush and ignored them. journalism's won the day. You're proving my point. You're proving my point. Well, I'm a minimalist, but I'm also a rhymer, so that means I can't write anything less than a two-liner. Otherwise, what's the second line gonna rhyme with when there wasn't a first line in the first place already? You see the problem that would be. So it's a two-liner for me, and don't expect to hear this one anywhere near the BBC. Why would you anyway? But it's never gonna happen. On account of the subject matter, it's a sore point with the BBC. It concerns aberrant sex, and I call this one necrophilia. Fed up with foreplay and all that palaver. Abacadabra.
What? Cadaver. Use palaver, abacadabra. Palaver with cadaver. Okay.
Let's get back to the long rambling poetical sagas now. Why? Because I got product to sell. It's on sale in the foyer, along with a lot of other stuff. You could pay less for a t-shirt, but there's no shortcut to quality. I'll say it in one word: breathable fabrics.
Breathable fabric.
But this is also available, the John Cooper Clarke retrospective box set under the title Anthologia on Sony Records. Available in the foyer, just in time for the lucrative Yuletide stroke Hanukkah stocking filler market. Book early. Get me while I'm hot. So because now, listen, this album I'm trying to pump out here, Anthologia. I don't know what's on it. I don't listen to it. I don't sit around listening to my own records. What kind of monster do you think I am? But I guarantee this one's on it. My second solid gold cast iron 1,000-carat diamond guarantee to you this evening, but this one's on it. Why? Because anytime the BBC is doing a programme about Thatcher's Britain, and when aren't the BBC doing a programme about Thatcher's Britain, this number comes up as a searing indictment of Thatcher's Britain. But the pedantic facts are that although don't kill the mythology, don't kill, I've been dining out on this since year zero, since 1979 anyway, but the pedantic facts are, I wrote this 18 months before Margaret Thatcher ever got anywhere near the fucking Houses of Parliament. So if anything, I kind of worry about whether I might give her a few ideas. See what you think anyway, ladies and gentlemen, on this one. Available on the Anthologia album, and this one's called Beasley Street. Any takers? Far-flung crazy pavements crack the sound of empty rooms, a clinical arrangement, a dirty afternoon where the fatal germs of Mr. Freud are rendered obsolete. The legal term is null and void in the case of Beasley Street, the cheap seats where murder breeds. Somebody is out of breath, sleep is a luxury they don't need, a sneak preview of death, deadly nightshade is your flower, manslaughter your meat. Spend a year and a couple of hours on the edge of Beasley Street, a cheap sit, a boarding house and a bed sits, full of accidents and fleas. Somebody gets it where the missing persons freeze, wearing dead men's overcoats. You can't see their feet. This rib joint shuts, opens up right down on down on Beasley Street. Cars collide, colours clash, disaster movie stuff. For the man with a Fu Manchu moustache, revenge is not enough. There's a dead canary on a swivel seat, there's a rainbow in the road. Meanwhile on Beasley Street, silence is the mode, hot beneath the collar. An inspector calls, the perishing stink of squalor impregnates the walls, the rats have all got rickets. They spit through broken teeth, a bloodstain is your ticket. One way down Beasley Street, a hipster in his haircut, drive a borrowed car. It looks like the Duke of Edinburgh, get well soon sir, but not that la-di-da OAP mother-to-be. Watch that three-piece suite when shine catchers, rains and crocodile skis. The scene on Beasley Street, the kingdom of the blind. Mr. Magoo is king. Beauty problems are redefined. The doorbells do not ring. Light bulbs burst like blisters. It's the only form of heat where a fella sells his sister down the middle of Easley Street. The boys are on the wagon, the girls are on the shelf. Their common problem is that they're not someone else. The dirt blows out, the dust blows in. You can't keep it neat. It's a fully furnished trash can. 16 Beasley Street. People turn a poison quick as lager turns to piss. Sweethearts are physically sick every time they kiss. It's a sociologist's paradise. Each day repeats uneasy, cheesy, greasy, queasy, beastly Beasley Street.